So, good afternoon. So when I was asked to present this Lifetime of Distinguished Service Award to David Lee, I was both honored and concerned. I was honored because I know that David is a brilliant, kind, generous, and so well-deserving of this award. But I was also concerned because I wasn't sure if there's anything new I could say. After all, the last time we were in Chicago, NELA, Illinois, did a reception and honored David with so many wonderful comments about and thoughts about his career. And not only that, but there's even an exchange topic called Shout Out to David Lee, in which people were talking about how wonderful David is and how when they were starting off and they had some questions and they would call him, he seemed to just drop everything and help them and help them be successful. And so I was like, well, what more can I say? So then I thought, well, maybe I can talk about David's family and how important they are to him, his son Ben and Dan, and his grandchildren Sammy and Sophia. And then there's also the other part of his family, his furry family, that I could talk about, his dogs Karina and Odie and his cat Pimmy. And if you've ever had lunch with David or sat next to him, it won't take long before he's whipping out his phone and showing you pictures of his pets, so feel free to ask. But I thought, that doesn't really get at why David is so special and why he was chosen, not only this time, but there's this NELA exchange post, and why he's just so revered in the NELA family. So then I thought, well, what else do I know about David? What else makes him so special? And I thought, well, I know he's a White Sox fan, but I'm not a baseball fan, and I'm not going to get in the middle of the Cubs-White Sox debacle here in the middle of Chicago. So I will leave that to you all to decide what that means about David. But I also know that David is an avid chess player. And this is a picture, as I understand it, of his son Ben when he was a baby, and David was teaching him chess. And I know that David has competed in the U.S. Open Championships, the Pan American Championships. He regularly, as I understand it, still plays chess in chess clubs. And I think, Brian, you may have been on some of the text play-by-plays of chess competitions. That almost makes it seem fascinating. So I was like, so what? And I know David has brought in his chess playing into his legal work. So I was like, so what do I know about chess? And so I thought, well, I know how to play it, but I'm not very good. But I did watch the movie The Queen's Gambit. And in there, she says, chess isn't always competitive. Chess can also be beautiful. And that really spoke to me of what I think David thinks of the law, because if you've heard him talk about drafting severance agreements, something that maybe makes some of us, reach for the Tylenol, he gets excited and he sees the beauty of trying to make just the right language to do the best for his client. At some point, it isn't even about winning, it's about doing it beautifully. And that's where I think the connection with chess can be. But then I was also thinking of the first time that I visited David in his office, which is also when I realized that we would be longtime good friends. And that was when I saw a giant poster of Star Trek. Now, this is something I could understand because I'm a Trekkie myself. And since then, we've had some conversations, so true nerd warning here, about sort of what was the theory behind Gene Roddenberry's and why the more recent Star Trek movies do not follow with the real story. And so I thought, well, what does this tell me about David? And I remember from the movie First Contact when Captain Picard says the acquisition of wealth is no longer the driving force in our lives. This is the vision of the future. I'm not saying David isn't still trying to get big fee awards. But the vision of the future is that we will work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity, and that's what David is about. His work with NELA, with his clients, and beyond is all about working to better ourselves and the rest of humanity. But I still was trying to figure out, what more could I say about David? And so I reached out to his longtime partner, Jen Weiss. And Jen was so helpful. First in getting me all these pictures, which I don't think David is seeing very well or not. But also we had this great conversation about what is so special about David. And I think she really summed it up. And she said that what is so special about David is that David is just what you see. He is a brilliant, kind, generous, humble person. And so we were trying to think of how to really convey what he is to all of you. And Jen had it. Jen had it from David's own words at age 8. So when David was 8, he wrote the things that we can do to grow up. And this is David's list that he still lives by. So to grow up, we should work for happy feelings. Don't be the boss all the time. Try to improve yourself. Be kind to other people and don't say stuff like she's a big dope. Now, I will say, I don't think David has lived up to that when we have talked about opposing counsel. Don't give up too soon. Don't make friends with bad people. Help children and adults. Try to learn more and taste new food. Share with other people. Don't argue when you have to go get a shot, just go. And I'd like to remind you of that because David has also described himself as a medical coward. Help around the house. I don't know if he's followed that. You can speak to that. Take care of your pets. I know he does that. Don't ask for money for everything you do around the house, or your mother and father will ask for money too. Maybe that's the one I should share with my kids. Have good posture and you can do your work faster. Do your work fast and neat so you can go outside and play. Or go to the drink lines, one or the other. Don't cheat and be a good sport. And don't be sad if you can't go with your mother and father all of the time. So, David, it is with deepest gratitude for a lifetime of distinguished service to the NELA community, extraordinary contributions to the field of plaintiff's employment law, and commitment to justice for workers, Elevating Justice, June 29th.
So all I can think of is, Mama said there'd be days like this, there'd be days like this, your mama said. But, so I should probably thank my mom for saving that from when I was 8. She died a few years ago. She died in 2017. And my sister Roz, who's over there, and Jen, who's over there, and Roz's kids and I were cleaning out her condo, and I guess somebody saw that and grabbed it. But I do have some other childhood memories. And I don't know if you remember this, Roz, but back when Roz and I were growing up, most cars, if they had a radio, only had an AM radio. But our grandfather's car had both an AM/FM radio. And so I asked, what does AM and FM mean? I didn't get a very satisfactory answer, so I thought about it. I really tried to figure it out, and then it dawned on me. And so I very proudly announced, AM means American music, and FM means foreign music. So I discovered two things. One was that I was wrong, and the other one was that I could think about something and figure it out, and it could make a whole lot of sense, but I could still be wrong, you know. And I think the great thing about NELA is that it lets us steal from the best. You guys are my heroes, and I feel awkward getting an award when you are my heroes. There's so many of you that are just the absolute best, and I steal shamelessly from. Kathy mentioned Brian East. Is there anybody in the world that knows more about the Americans with Disabilities Act than Brian? No, absolutely not. And Brian is so generous with his time. Later on Saturday, we'll hear from Eric Schnapper and Eric, and in Illinois, Paul Malika and the late, great Rick Seymour. They knew all the law there was to know, and they're so generous with their time. And I could go, I was given a limited amount of time, so I could go on and on. But, well, let me do one more, because this is, I think, kind of interesting. A couple of years ago, I had an experience where I read a news story out of Alabama that some editor there, fairly close to Birmingham, geographically speaking, had said that the KKK should come back and the civil rights laws should be repealed, or words to that effect. And then the same week, there was an announcement on the exchange that Heather Leonard had won like $1 gazillion from a jury who reads those newspapers. I mean, how do people like Heather do that? It's amazing. And Heather's going to be talking about operating in hostile territory, which looks like a great presentation. So you guys are my heroes. You are the ones that make NELA great. We can all steal from each other shamelessly and learn from each other, and have learned so much and stolen so much from all of you. So thank you. And if I can say two more things quickly. Last time I checked, before I came in here, the White Sox are beating the Angels. And the episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds that dropped early this morning is fantastic.